In July 2025, a $3 billion company was split between three tech giants in 72 hours. OpenAI tried to buy Windsurf for $3 billion, but there was a problem: Microsoft. As OpenAI's largest investor, Microsoft had contractual rights to any technology OpenAI acquired. Windsurf refused those terms. OpenAI asked Microsoft for an exception. Microsoft said no. The deal collapsed. The moment the exclusivity period expired, Google swooped in. They executed what's called a reverse acqui-hire, paying $2.4 billion for the CEO, co-founder, and 40 senior engineers. All of them joined Google's AI efforts. Then, over a single weekend, Cognition acquired what was left: the product, the brand, and the remaining employees. Why does it matter to you? Because it shows just how valuable AI IDEs have become. These aren't just text editors anymore. They're the new battleground for how we'll write software for the next decade. So let's cut through the marketing and figure out which one you should actually use. AI IDEs are multiplying faster than JavaScript frameworks. Cursor, Windsurf, Antigravity, Void, Kiro, Z. And that's not counting VS Code with Copilot, which is what most developers still use. Every single one claims to be the best AI coding experience. Every single one has a landing page showing impressive demos of AI building an entire app in seconds. The real differences are hidden. They are in the details, in the pricing models, in the philosophy of how they think about AI assistants. Today I am comparing 4 different approaches to AI-assisted development. Cursor, the AI-first editor that wants to make you faster. Antigravity, Google's Agent-First IDE that wants to do the work for you. Amazon Kiro, the Spec-Driven IDE that turns your prompts into structured specifications before writing a single line of code. Windsurf, the parallel agent IDE that lets you run multiple AI sessions simultaneously. Same category, very different philosophies. Let's see how they stack up. Cursor was one of the first VS Code forks to go all in on AI. Since then, it's become the industry standard for agentic coding. The interface is now designed around agents rather than files. You can spin up agents right from the menu bar, switch between IDE and agent views, and run up to 8 AI agents simultaneously. I tested plan mode with the most expensive option, Opus 4.5 Thinking. The task was a bug fix. The Slack AI bot wasn't receiving message history context needed to fulfill requests. Single file, logic bug, requires understanding code flow. I gave it just the problem description, no hints on how to fix it. Hit the plan button and watched it explore. The sub-agent found the bug quickly. It generated the plan in a markdown file, identifying the root cause correctly. The trigger workflow receives message context but only passes it to one path, not the other. 3 clear to-do items. First attempt got the function signatures updated but missed some interface changes. 1 refinement step later, done. The code review interface was actually better than I expected. Some developers in my community love plan mode. They find it creates clear task breakdowns rather than jumping straight to code and only need to tweak plans once or twice before implementation. It's a legitimate workflow that gets things done. Here's the cost breakdown. 1 bug fix, $1.78 at API rates. On the $20 per month Pro plan, that's roughly 11 similar fixes before you've burned through your budget. And Kiro costs the same $20 a month but couldn't finish a simple task. Good model, good results, and it actually works. Cursor 2.0 introduced Composer, their own frontier model built specifically for software engineering. It's a mixture of experts model trained with reinforcement learning, and it's fast. 4 times faster than similar models while maintaining frontier-level coding performance. The agent capabilities have matured significantly. Agents can self-gather context without you manually attaching files. They execute terminal commands autonomously, installing dependencies, running tests, analyzing compilation errors. The debug mode in 2.2 is particularly clever. Instead of guessing at fixes, the agent generates hypotheses, instruments your code with logging, and asks you to reproduce the bug. Then it uses the actual runtime data to pinpoint the root cause. The built-in browser is underrated. I actually enjoy using it. I can test things without leaving Cursor, ask for fixes, and apply them immediately. You get DevTool panels, elements, console, network embedded right in the editor. You can select elements and forward DOM information directly to the agent. It reads your console errors and network requests. For front-end work, this closes the loop between something's broken and here's the fix. You still got the fast autocomplete and tab completion that made Cursor famous. But now those sit alongside plan mode, background agents and parallel execution with Git worktrees. They also just launched a CLI that has feature parity with the editor, plan mode, ask mode, the works. The killer feature is Cloud Agent Handoff. You can push a task to the cloud and pick it up on your phone while the agent keeps working in the background. It's closed source. Your code goes to their servers for processing. They have SOC 2 compliance and privacy mode, but if you're working on sensitive code, that's a consideration. The pricing is $20 per month for individuals, $40 per user for teams, same as Kiro Pro. Plan mode with Opus 4.5 thinking burns through tokens fast, so if you're doing heavy daily work, you might hit the ceiling. Best for complex issues where you need the best model. For simple fixes, use a cheaper model or quick autocomplete. With multiple models and modes available, there is a learning curve to knowing which model to pick for which task. A note on autocompletion. It's why I originally switched to Cursor years ago. It had the best on the market. Now I don't use it at all, and many developers will agree. Other IDEs have caught up anyway, so we are not considering typing and autocomplete here. Cursor is best for developers who want a mature, reliable agentic workflow. It's had the most time to iterate. If you're unsure where to start, Cursor is the safe default. Just watch your token usage with the premium models. Antigravity launched in November 2025 with a completely different philosophy. This isn't an editor with AI features. It's an agent orchestration system that happens to have an editor. Remember those 40 Windsurf engineers Google acquired? This is what they built. I gave Antigravity the hardest task of my testing session, adding image and PDF analysis to a Slack bot, multi-file feature with open design questions about caching and scope. I used Gemini Pro High in planning mode, higher expectations because it's Google and Gemini supposedly on par with Opus at benchmarks. It started exploring the codebase, not fast but thorough. The always proceed option was nice, no constant approval click. It generated a plan, started implementing, and then things went wrong. The agent decided that Claude Haiku 4.5 doesn't support image recognition. This is incorrect. Haiku 4.5 supports vision. Based on this wrong assumption, Antigravity auto-switched the model to Claude Sonnet 3.5 mid-task. After the switch, quality dropped significantly. It went completely off the rails, generating unformatted output, struggling with compilation errors in loops. I tried to course correct. I asked it to look up documentation, read the source code. It kept thinking for 30 seconds before giving vague responses about SDK issues. Eventually I gave up, reset all changes, switched to Claude Code and completed the same feature successfully. The takeaway: an AI tool made a wrong assumption about another AI model's capabilities, and its smart automatic model switching caused the entire task to fail. When it works, it's magic. When it fails hard. One bright spot, no rate limits. My Google Pro subscription covered everything. Unlike Windsurf, I never hit a wall mid-task. The multi-agent architecture is the headline feature. You can dispatch multiple agents to work on different bugs simultaneously. Each agent gets its own sandboxed environment. You review and approve changes when they're done. Plan mode generates detailed plan artifacts before any code is written. But here's what's unique. You can highlight specific text in the plan and add inline comments, like marking up a Google Doc. The agent incorporates your feedback and revises. The browser integration is genuinely autonomous. A specialized sub-agent called Jetski can launch Chrome, navigate your app, click buttons, fill forms, and run end-to-end tests, all without human intervention. You'll see a blue aura around the browser when the agent has control. Chrome DevTools are exposed via MCP, so agents can inspect the DOM, debug JavaScript, and analyze network requests. There's even a recording feature that creates audit trails of what the agent did. The Gemini 3 integration is tight. These aren't just API calls. The models are optimized for code generation and can handle massive context windows. The automatic behaviors can backfire. In my testing, the model switching feature caused complete task failure. The agent was confident in its wrong assumption and acted on it autonomously. It's not interactive enough. The agent never asked me clarifying questions about the complex feature. It just charged ahead and made assumptions, wrong ones. They've since added a secure mode that requires human review before the agent executes certain actions, which might have prevented my failure, but it wasn't available during my testing. A note on extensions: all these AI IDEs use OpenVSX instead of Microsoft's marketplace. They're blocked by licensing. In my testing, I got similar extension coverage across Cursor, Windsurf, and Antigravity. Git tools, themes, language support, everything I needed was there. My colleague confirmed the same. Gemini models are good, but they struggle to make them interact. The models aren't the bottleneck, the orchestration is. Another colleague had better luck with specific constrained tasks, things like copy this page or replicate this component. She says plan mode is good, not Claude good, but good. And the UI for highlighting which step to change is easier than CLI tools, but she wouldn't use it for greenfield projects. If you have a Google AI Pro or Ultra subscription, Antigravity offers generous rate limits that refresh every 5 hours. I never hit a wall mid-task, that's genuinely valuable, but in my testing it couldn't complete a complex feature that Claude Code handled fine. The agent-first approach works when the agent is right. When it makes wrong assumptions and acts autonomously on them, you lose time. Worth trying for simpler, well-defined tasks, or if you are already deep in the Google ecosystem. For complex multi-file features, I'd wait for improvements. Amazon launched Kiro in July 2025 with a philosophy they call Beyond Vibe Coding. Instead of letting you chat freely with an AI and hope for the best, Kiro forces structure onto the process. I tested both modes, Vibe and Spec, on a real task. Here is what happened. I had a simple task: add a web search and web fetch tools into an existing Anthropic API integration. Not a greenfield project, just extending working code. Vibe mode first. I used auto mode, which supposedly picks the best model, except there is no Opus 4.5 option on the free trial. The documentation claims Opus 4.5 support, but it's only available on paid tiers. Auto mode silently picked Claude 4.0. The experience felt like using AI models from a year ago. Constant errors, build failures, multiple iterations to get the code to even compile. And when it finally did compile, the feature didn't work. The best part? After 3 failed attempts, the agent confidently told me a web search integration is working. It wasn't. The bot still refused to fetch external links. The agent was lying to me about its own success. Spec mode second. I thought maybe planning workflow would help. Same results. Turns out Kiro found my agents.md file with OpenSpec instructions and followed that instead of using its own built-in planning. Other IDEs plan independently, but Kiro just deferred to what it found in the repo. I expected an elaborate built-in planning system. Instead, it read my config and used that. Same errors, same patterns, same dead end. After burning through credits on both modes, I gave up, switched to Claude Code, one-shotted the entire implementation in about 4 minutes. The difference wasn't even close. A colleague summarized it perfectly. Planning felt great, but then the execution was horrible. That matches my experience exactly. I'll give Kiro credit where it's due. The interface is gorgeous. The color scheme, those greens, blues and purples, is better than any other AI IDE. The tool usage display shows exactly what's happening in a way that's actually pleasant to watch. When it's working through tasks, the progress indicators are clean. Task 1.2 completed, task 1.3 in progress. As a viewer, for reviewing changes, it's excellent. An actual coding tool? Not so much. The spec-driven workflow is the core innovation. When you describe what you want, Kiro doesn't immediately start writing code. It generates a specification first. Requirements, design decisions, edge cases. You review and approve the spec. Then it generates the implementation, documentation and tests, all from that single source of truth. The model choices include Claude Sonnet 4.5, 4.0, Haiku 4.5 and supposedly Opus 4.5. Auto mode is the default. The pricing is competitive. There is a free tier with 50 credits per month, then Pro at $20 for 1000 credits, Pro Plus at $40 for 2000, and Power at $20 for 10,000. Overages are 4 cents per credit. The models underperform. Without access to Opus 4.5, you're stuck with weaker models that make constant errors. I'm spoiled by Opus 4.5, it rarely makes mistakes. Kiro's auto mode felt like going back in time. constant approval prompts. There's an autopilot toggle in the UI, but terminal commands still require trust configuration buried in settings. I spent too much time clicking trust instead of coding. It ignores your instructions. I explicitly told it not to use OpenSpec. It used OpenSpec anyway. Turns out my agents.md file was stronger than my direct instructions. No browser integration out of the box. Cursor has an embedded browser. Antigravity controls external Chrome via its Jetski subagent. Windsurf has a preview panel for local dev servers. With Kiro, you need to configure Playwright MCP manually. The UI has glitches. Sometimes the chat window doesn't stick to the bottom. You have to manually scroll down to see new messages. Small thing, but annoying when it happens. Honestly, I'd use Kiro as a code reviewer, not a code writer. The design is beautiful. The task progress UI is genuinely nice. If you want something pretty to look while reviewing AI-generated diffs, Kiro delivers. But for actual development, I'd never switch to Kiro from Claude Code. The model performance gap is too wide. Maybe if they make Opus 4.5 available and fix the instruction following issues, it could compete. Right now, it doesn't. Updates since testing. Kiro has added subagents for delegating complex tasks and a built-in plan agent with a /plan command. These might help with the execution problems I experienced, but I haven't retested yet. Remember the acquisition drama from the intro? Windsurf didn't die. Cognition, the company behind Devin, took the product and ran with it. I tested Cascade with Claude Opus 4.5, the most expensive option at 5x credits. The task: add prompt caching and citations to an existing Anthropic API integration. Windsurf has Ask mode for questions, Code mode for implementation, and recently added Plan mode as well. I used Ask mode first to explore, then switched to Code. The agent worked well. It found the right files, understood the caching patterns needed, proposed the correct cache control settings. It also added the citations feature with a sources section for web search results, exactly as specified. The changes were clean, the code was correct, quality felt comparable to Cursor's Plan mode. Then I hit the wall. The citation feature unfolded link previews in Slack, ugly and distracting. I asked to remove them, simple one-line fix. Rate limit exceeded, permission denied. I had used 15 out of 100 credits and got locked out mid-task. 85 credits remaining. Blocked anyway. This was a trial limitation. The free plan only has 25 credits per month, while Pro offers 500. Still, the experience kills my flow completely. Had to switch to Claude Code to finish the fix. The verdict: quality is comparable to Cursor, the to-do list UI for tracking progress is nice, but the rate limiting is aggressive to the point of being unusable. What good is quality if you can't finish your work? The Cascade agent is the core experience. Windsurf actually pioneered the agentic approach. They launched as the first Agentic IDE in late 2024, while Cursor was focused on autocomplete. Cursor's agent mode came later, reportedly inspired by Cascade. Wave 13, released in December 2025, added true parallel agents. You can run multiple Cascade sessions simultaneously on different branches using Git worktrees. No file conflicts. Side-by-side panels to monitor progress. This is the closest thing to having a team of AI developers working for you. The SWE 1.5 model is impressive, near frontier coding performance at 950 tokens per second. They've also added Claude Opus 4.5, GPT 5.2 codecs, and Gemini 3 Flash to the model lineup. The pricing is competitive, $15 per month for Pro, which undercuts Cursor's $20. The browser integration opens a separate window, not embedded like Cursor's. You can click elements and send context to Cascade, forward console errors to the agent. It's functional, but you still leave the IDE to interact with it. For more advanced automation, there's an MCP marketplace where you can install Playwright with one click. Rate limiting killed my session. This is the biggest issue. I hit the wall with 85% of my credits still remaining. The experience of being blocked mid-refinement is worse than not having credits at all. The acquisition uncertainty was real. Even though Cognition has invested heavily in development, some developers are wary of betting on a product that changed hands twice in one weekend. The extension situation is similar to other VS Code forks. Most things works, but there are gaps. Agent-based development and parallel execution aren't unique to Windsurf anymore. Cursor and Antigravity have caught up. What makes Windsurf stand out now is the pricing, $15 a month versus Cursor's $20. If you're on a budget, Windsurf delivers comparable quality for less. Worth checking out, just make sure to get the Pro plan to avoid the aggressive trial limits. Before we compare, a quick note of what's not in this comparison. Void was a promising open-source, privacy-focused AI IDE, a patch 2.0 licensed Y Combinator backed with local model support through Ollama. It represented the "your code stays on your machine" philosophy. Unfortunately, development is currently paused. The website says some features may be broken. If you care about privacy and open source, keep an eye on it. But it's not ready for production use right now. Z is a fast Rust-based editor with AI features, but it's not a VS Code fork. Different philosophy, different ecosystem. VS Code plus Copilot deserves more than a footnote. Microsoft has quietly transformed it into a serious competitor. Agent Mode launched in February 2025 and is now generally available in preview, a full autonomous coding agent that analyzes your codebase, proposes multi-file edits, runs terminal commands, and self-heals when it hits errors. Copilot Edits enables multi-file editing with natural language. The coding agent even has browser access through a Playwright MCP server, so it can interact with your web app to reproduce bugs. At $10 per month with 300 premium requests, it's the cheapest option. Claude Opus 4.5 is available but costs 3x credits, so you're down to 100 requests, which you can burn through in a couple of hours. Realistically, it's at $10 for autocomplete and very limited agentic work. The catch? It's still an extension, not a native experience. The dedicated AI IDEs have tighter integration and often faster iteration. But if you're already in VS Code and don't want to switch, Copilot has closed most of the gap. Let me break this down based on my actual testing. Feel free to pause here to absorb the details. The real comparison isn't features, it's reliability. Again, pause if you need to absorb this. Here is what I learned after actually testing all of this. The question isn't which has the best features. The question is which one can finish the job. Cursor finished the job, expensive but it worked. One refinement step, bug fixed, done. Antigravity failed the job. To be fair, this was the hardest task. Even Claude Code needed some manual help with file fetching to push it through. But Claude Code didn't make wrong assumptions. Antigravity did. It auto-switched models based on incorrect information and went completely off the rails. Kiro failed the job. Constant errors, ignored explicit instructions, claimed success when the feature was broken. Windsurf got blocked before finishing. Quality was good until the rate limit killed my session with 85% of credits remaining. The model still matters. Sonnet 3.5 versus Opus 4.5 gives drastically different results. The wrapper matters too, but mostly when comparing the same models across different IDEs. Here's the real problem. These IDEs offer auto mode that should pick the best model for you. Sounds smart, but in practice they optimize for token cost, not quality. Kiro's auto mode picked an older model for a medium difficulty task, and it failed. Maybe I'm spoiled by Opus 4.5, but I expect these IDEs to make better choices. They don't. For most developers right now, Cursor is the safest bet. Yes, Plan Mode plus Opus 4.5 thinking burns through tokens around $1.78 per complex bug fix. Yet Kiro costs the same $20 a month and couldn't finish a straightforward task. Antigravity is free and failed completely. Windsurf is cheaper at $15 but blocked me mid-task. $1.78 for a bug fix that actually works is good value compared to $0 for a bug fix that doesn't. I wouldn't recommend Antigravity for complex tasks yet. The agent wrongly assumed Haiku 4.5 doesn't support image recognition, so it switched my Slack bot's backend model to Sonnet 3.5 and everything went wrong from there. Fine for simple tasks or if you're already in Google's ecosystem. Wait for improvements before trusting it with anything multi-file. Kiro looks beautiful but doesn't deliver. Same story as before. Gorgeous interface, unreliable execution. Use it as a code reviewer if you want something pretty to look at. Windsurf's quality is comparable to Cursor when it lets you work. The rate limiting is punishing. Either buy a generous plan or keep Claude Code ready as backup. If you need the best model with generous limits, get Claude Code's max plan at $100 a month. It's not unlimited, but I've only hit the limits twice with heavy daily Opus 4.5 usage. Coming directly from Anthropic, the limits are far more generous than any IDE can offer for the same price. It completed the complex feature that Antigravity failed, stayed on track through iterations, and shipped to production. For pure reliability with Opus 4.5, nothing else comes close. If privacy is your main concern, check out the Client extension. It works with any of these IDEs and supports local models out of the box, like Qwen 3 Coder running on LM Studio. I have a video about setting that up on the channel. Void was promising, but development is paused. The AI IDE wars are just getting started. $3 billion acquisitions happening over weekends. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and OpenAI are fighting for how developers will write code. Whatever you choose, the important thing is to actually try those tools. Don't just watch videos about them, spend a day with each one. See which philosophy matches how you think about development. If this was helpful, subscribe for more AI development content. Join the Discord to discuss which IDE you're using. And as always, your cat has probably picked the best IDE. They just can't tell you because they are too busy sitting on your keyboard.